Okay, welcome to the third lecture out of 4 for criminology. I got to tell you guys, I had just recorded this already once before, but I had chosen a different set of images. I picked the wrong folder to have background images, and the images that came up were an old document folder I had, including my tax returns and divorce documents, and it was showing in the background the whole time I was lecturing, and I thought, I should probably redo this one. So here goes for a second time, Lecture 3. Now that we've covered the essential theories in criminology, it's time to step back and consider some specific crimes themselves. I began this class by asking you to think about what kinds of crimes you think about when you think about crime generally, and to be critical of your list. You probably thought of murder, rape, gangbanging, school shootings or mass shootings, terrorism, or some other violent crime. But of course, there are many other categories of crimes that we could consider. In your text, like most other textbooks in criminology, crimes are organized around the larger categories of violent crime, property crime, white-collar/organized/political crime, and consensual or victimless crimes. Within each category are an array of crimes that scholars focus on, but this categorization is helpful to organize our thoughts about the various kinds of criminal behavior anyway. In this section, since we don't have time to review each and every kind of crime in each category, and because your textbook does a fine job of laying them all out, I'm just going to frame these various crimes in terms of your final paper, and in terms of the theories you'll need to employ to do well on that final paper. Here's a tip. Now's a good time in the class to choose a category of criminals to zero in on as a starting point for your final paper. Do you want to develop a program for at-risk teens, violent offenders, gangs, thieves, white-collar criminals, gamblers, or drug dealers? As you read about these crime categories, and as you think about what kind of criminal population you want to propose a program for your final paper, it will be helpful if you start thinking about which of the theories we've addressed that best supports your program and the particular population of offenders you want to serve. So for instance, if you're considering a program for delinquent or at-risk teens, I think a good starting point would be one of the social process theories we've discussed, since teens are still in a developmental stage where learning from others or modeling others is a crucial variable. A program that utilizes peer pressure, counseling, or mentoring would fit nicely with a learning theory, which is one of the social process theories we've discussed. On the other hand, if you're thinking of a boot camp for delinquents with military style or wilderness programming, you might consider using deterrence as your theoretical basis instead of learning theory. You can, of course, touch on a couple theories, but keep your paper limited to just 1 or 2. I prefer 1. Because it gets too vague and watered down otherwise, I've found. If you want to create a program for street kids or gang members, you might consider social structure theories with an emphasis on improving inner city conditions, like that Harlem Zone video we watched, or which provides these offenders with opportunities for community integration, for example. If you want to create a program for corporate offenders or white-collar criminals, you might consider conflict theory as your driver, perhaps a program or policy that curtails political influence or economic corruption. See how that works? By the way, what you're watching there is an education protest in downtown Rome. I was in Rome over the summer and just happened to catch a protest going on over there. Now, there's no right answer here. Which theory to choose? Not necessarily. However, you will need to defend your program with a theoretical orientation and a specific theory within that orientation to get a good grade. So select your theory carefully. Some theories work better than others for certain kinds of programs. You'll need to address why you chose a particular theory for your innovative program. And finally, I want to stress that I'm looking for innovation in your program. But that doesn't mean you can't draw from existing programs you've been exposed to in this class. Just be sure to make it your own and don't copy an existing program entirely. That's a surefire way of failing the class, trust me. That's plagiarism, folks. Better to think outside the box. Assume you have unlimited resources and funding for this project and form an idealized version of how you think we could better approach the kind of crime and the kind of criminal you want to help. And good luck with it. We'll talk more about that as the semester goes on. It's the end of Lecture 3. I'll see you for Lecture 4.